Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today, it feels like a lovely spring day, we have Susan Roney OBrien with us. And Susan is the facilitator of the writers group at the Boylston Library. Writers groups, got to get more of them on because we have a lot of authors on. But it's good to know where the writers groups are. They all have a different flavor, right, Sue?
Yes.
And Susan is also a poet, and I just found that out today. So I'll show you some of her books, too. Susan, when did you start becoming the head of the writers group over there?
I started last year.
Last
So
year.
this is my second year.
What got you to do it?
I love to teach. And after I retired from full-time teaching, I was feeling like I had to get back.
Yeah.
So, and teaching adults is very different than teaching middle school students. Which
You were in
is,
the middle school.
Uh-huh.
What town were you in?
Princeton.
You were in Princeton.
Yeah, yeah.
Middle school, that's like 10, 11, 12 years old? About that?
Yeah,
13?
and it's 7th and 8th grade.
Preteen.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh, that's rough.
Oh, well, I loved them.
You did.
Yeah, yeah.
What did you teach? What was your specialty?
I taught English, but I also taught social studies because it was like taking a cheap vacation. You could just read about it and ask questions and pretend you were in that time.
I remember the social studies books were like that thick.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They're good now. I love it now.
Yeah.
But back then I'm like, oh, no.
I have to do all this.
I would come home with, I don't know why I didn't get a bad back. We didn't have backpacks yet. My son did. But it was cool to walk home with as many books as you could.
Yes.
Oh, look at me. I'm a big girl, but they were heavy.
Yes, yes. They are.
Really, really, really heavy.
Yeah.
So now, the writers group over at the Boylston Library, that is on Route 140? What's the group's address?
I don't know.
What is that street that goes right by your library?
Right. I don't know the name of it.
I know, I must
exactly.
be, when I go up to Lancaster, I'll get on 140, Shrewsbury, Grafton, keep going. Oh, I think I would take a right onto 70-something?
Route 70 maybe.
And then that Boylston Library is all stone.
It's beautiful.
When was it erected?
I'm not sure. I don't know as much about the library as I should.
It looks medieval.
Yeah. Oh, it's what's great is you walk in and the people who are working there are very friendly and warm, and they say hello to everyone, and it immediately felt like the first time I went there that I wasn't a stranger.
You are.
And that was a lovely experience.
It's a beautiful library, and when I went by it, every time I'd go up to my son's school, I'd be like, it looks tiny, but I just asked Susan, is it that tiny inside? But it's not, right?
It's not. No.
It's not. It has a children's room.
Yep.
Adults.
Yep.
Does it have like a presentation room for different things, or?
I've never seen one.
Okay.
I think they tried to keep the footprint when they were modernizing.
Does it have? What was I going to say? Do they welcome authors coming there?
Yes, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
Now, you being a poet, have you spoken to people at all?
No.
No.
No, I'm one of those poets who I'm just waiting for someone to find me. but that's not going to happen.
You're waiting for the prince to come knocking at the door.
Oh, no, not a prince. Thank
How
you.
many, Susan? How many people are in your writers group over there?
It ranges. We've had as many as 9.
Yeah.
And they are amazing people. It's astonishing how many people don't know what good writers they are.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful view of the world they can give other people. We have a woman who's a genealogist, and she comes and talks about the history of things.
Is she from around here, by any chance? Upton?
I believe she lives in West Boylston.
West Boylston.
Yeah.
Okay, she's
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
So you have a genealogist. How about fantasy, fiction, and suspense? Anybody?
We have a woman who came, and when she first came, she said, I'm going to read from my novel. I've been working on it for 10 years. It's not going anywhere, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. She just sold it.
She'd been working on it for 10 years.
Yeah.
When did she start getting out with it?
She was revising, and I looked at her draft and made some I had some questions, and then I had another friend who had just published her first book,
Yeah.
and I found this person's publisher's address, and I said, try this one.
Try that
and
one.
That's the one that accepted her book.
I wonder if
And
it's one of
she's
those
thrilled.
smaller local. They're great. The little smaller local
I
publishers.
think it's called Touchstone.
Touchstone.
Press,
I
yeah.
know over in Rhode Island we have Stillwater's publication.
Yeah.
Steve Porter, he's been on here. He's terrific. Your authors, do they come from different all over near Princeton, or just real close?
The ones who come to the library, they seem to live in the towns that are
Surrounding.
adjacent. Yeah,
Surrounding
pretty much.
Princeton, which is, I'm not up, let's see. Well, you got Worcester.
Right.
Shrewsbury, maybe?
There is one person who comes from Shrewsbury.
Clinton?
We did have a man who came from Worcester, but I think there is the population of the group is mostly female,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I think we might have scared him because we were
You
telling
scared
the
him?
truth.
Do they? I know I went one time to a group. It was in Milford Library. I was just curious, and I haven't written anything yet. But I was curious to know how it works. And, they all sat around and they kind of shared kind of bounced it off everybody.
Right.
Is that hard to do? If somebody's just starting out, is that hard to do in a writer's group? Do you get real criticized or you just get support?
It depends on the group.
Yeah.
My group is generational. I bring prompts, and we write while we're there.
You're right, when
Because
you're
a
there.
lot of the people don't have time to write at home.
Yeah.
So the hour that we have, they may have a half an hour of talking and sharing things that they had written already. But they wanted it to be generational, not critical. So I just have to come up with something for them to do that's very different every time.
I like that. I know that years ago we went down to film. It was too noisy in the cafe, but where the old Tatnuck used to be in Worcester,
Right.
there's like a cafe, or it was a cafe there, and this huge writers group would get together, and they would take about an hour or so to talk, have fun.
Yep.
Then they would all be very quiet for another hour and write. But are they doing it on computers, Susan, or are they? No, they're writing.
Longhand, yeah.
What's the age group?
I would say most of the people are retired.
Retired.
Yeah.
Really?
And they've never gotten to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And now's the time.
Now's the time.
The one that you said just got her book
She's
published.
younger. She's probably in her mid-40s.
Okay,
maybe.
okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Is she's getting out then? She's getting out and talking?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about some of your writers afterwards, because a lot of them, when they first get published especially, they got to get out there. I mean, nobody's just going to know
No,
who you
no.
are.
Nobody's
And
gonna find
Amazon,
you.
it's great, but you know what? Face-to-face is
Yeah,
always
it
terrific.
is better.
Now, we want to talk about something else. She surprised me when she came in. I had no idea you were a poet. She starts bringing out all these books. Well, what's the first one you wrote?
The first one I wrote was called Farm Wife, and it won the William Kingman Page Poetry Award.
It was what?
It was called Farm Wife,
Okay.
and it won an award in publication.
So you won an
And-
award
yeah,
for a
but it
poem.
was in 2000.
That's okay.
And because I was working full time and
Yeah.
had 2 kids and was going back to get an MFA and getting a master's in education,
Yeah.
all at the same time, I didn't send anything out for a long time. But I always wrote. I wrote from 4:30 to 6:30 in the morning before I went to work every day.
You're another one of those that gets up in the middle of the
Well,
night.
I have to, because if I waited until the end of the day, because I taught with the same passion that I wrote,
You're tired.
it would be empty. The
Yeah.
well would be empty.
You probably go to sleep very early, right?
I try to. I don't. I try to.
See, I'd be your
Yeah.
opposite. I would be up till like 1 or 2 in the morning writing, and then sleep in if I can till noon.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't do that, right?
No, well, I have a very large chocolate lab who gets up at 6.
Your Labrador wakes you up.
He jumps into bed.
Yeah, that's our cats.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
gentler cats than a
Does he really
100-pound
shake
lab.
the timbers?
Well, he decides that the best way to wake me up is to lick my face,
Oh.
which is like.
We're laughing because he
Yeah,
licks
what?
my husband's hair,
Yeah,
our cat.
Yeah.
Do you get mad at all? Like, go away at 6 o'clock in the morning?
No, he's trained me very well.
That's I didn't know dogs could do. I know the cats do, but I didn't know a dog was sneaky like
Oh,
that.
no, he's trained me very well.
How old is he?
He's 4.
He's 4. He's your baby.
He is. He is.
He is your baby. Now, first of all, how can people reach you about the writers group, Susan?
They can email at my name, which is Susan Roney O'Brien, all small letters, at gmail.com. And easy to, I'm the only one out there with that address, so it's easy to find.
Can you speak just a little louder,
Sure.
Susan?
Do you want me to repeat that?
Sure.
Okay. My email address is Susan Roney O'Brien at gmail.com.
Roney, right?
Right.
Dash
and-
O'Brien. Yeah.
Right, except there's no dash. There's no
No dash.
no dash, no apostrophes, and all small letters. So
All small letters.
yeah.
And when does the writers group at the Boylston Library meet?
It meets on the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30.
At 6:30.
Yeah.
Do they bring any snacks, anything like
Nope.
that? No, just bring yourself.
And paper and ideas, or if you've written anything that you want to talk about, all of those things. It's very relaxed.
If someone is new, I mean, Boylston is not that far from here. I mean, Shrewsbury to me is, 15 minutes up the road. Boylston, another maybe 10?
Yeah.
It's not that far. If you like to explore different writers groups, which is kind of fun, you get different takes on what you're doing, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah. Well, and at least you'll go away with possible prompts, things that you could write about. One of my prompts that I start with is you have to write a prayer of thanks for skunks.
A what?
A prayer of thanks for skunks.
For skunk, a prayer of thanks for skunks.
Uh-huh.
You just thought that up?
No, it's one of the prompts that I wrote down and gave them when they first came.
And you thought it up yourself?
Oh yeah, I write prompts because it's fun, and sometimes I use them myself.
That is a great. Everybody gets the same thing
Yeah,
to write about,
yeah.
but everybody comes up. You got to think about it.
Right.
What if somebody draws a blank?
Well, then I'll give them another one.
Give them another one.
Another one would be a poem about bees in the place of war.
Uh-huh.
What do
a
bees
poem
do?
about bees in a place of war.
When their fields are being decimated
Yeah.
and all these people are dying,
Yeah.
what do the bees do?
This sounds
Where
like an
did they
awful
go?
lot of fun because your imagination has to come into play.
Yeah, I have an imagination that
You do?
wakes me up at 2 o'clock
Where
in
did
the
you
morning.
go to college, Sue?
I went to UMass Boston when
Yeah.
it first opened, and then I went to Anna Maria for my teaching degree. I had this deal with my husband that I would go back and get some kind of degree that I could make money using.
Yeah.
But the deal was that if I did that, I would do my MFA at Warren Wilson, which is what I did. But
Yeah.
it was concurrent, and so I was doing my practice teaching and my final master's in education thesis and starting a program at Warren Wilson, which is in North Carolina.
What is it called?
Warren Wilson.
What is Warren Wilson?
Warren Wilson is a private college in North Carolina that has one of the best off-residence writing programs.
Off-residence
Yeah.
writing
Yeah,
program.
it's incredible.
None of our schools up here have colleges?
This one has some wonderful poets. I worked with Eleanor Wilner. I worked with Ellen Bryant Voigt.
Uh-huh.
I worked with Ed Hirsch. I work with just amazing
A lot
poets.
of them. And
who
right
are-
there in the college,
yeah,
right?
Well, for 10 days, and then you are assigned to that person, and you write back and forth, and you are required, you have a reading list, which is designed to what you like and what you need.
So you went all the way from Massachusetts down to North Carolina to do this?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a dedicated writers, like an educational group, set aside off residence from where the kids are on the campus.
Right.
Was it filled pretty much with a lot of people?
Probably the average age of the people who came was probably around 40.
Oh, these
And-
were older students.
Yeah,
Okay.
people who had decided. You come to a point in your writing when you know that you need. You've gone as far as you can by yourself.
Yeah.
You've gone as far as you can with writing groups and with
Sure.
people that you're asking.
Yeah.
And when I found out who was teaching there, I applied.
And you applied.
Yeah, and got in.
Did you like your mentor, the one you worked with?
I had a different one for each of the semesters.
Semester, I should remember
I,
this. Is
I didn't get to pick.
3 or 4 months, is
They
it?
assign
Yeah.
them for you.
You didn't get to pick.
No. Well, I could have asked,
Yeah.
but I figured that I wouldn't. And my first one was Eleanor Wilner, who has
Yeah.
won huge awards, and
Yeah.
she's a sweetheart. We're still friends.
You can tell you really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We are talking with Susan Roney O'Brien, and she is the facilitator for the writers group at the Boylston Library. They meet on the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30. It's really not that far from Upton, and really this area. I've been up there so many times. You just take 140 through Shrewsbury Center, and then I think you take a right up at a crossroads onto 70, something like that, and head for Clinton, that area. Head for that way. You're going to go right by it.
Yeah.
I think there's another way you can go. If you go through Worcester up Mountain Street, you come to, isn't it called West Boyle Street? You take a right, and there's an Irish restaurant down there and a Walmart.
O'Connor's, yeah.
Yeah, you keep going, and you're going to hit that little the center of Princeton, I think, or right, or Boylston.
You're in West Boylston.
Okay.
At that point, you're not in Boylston.
So that little center, take a left and keep going on like 70, and you're up there on the left, I think. That the Stone Library.
Yes.
I'd love to know when that was built.
I should know.
Wow,
I
that
should
is.
know, yeah.
If anybody has never seen it, it's like I was telling her, it's like a princess's castle, a mini castle. I bet the kids love it.
It's a beautiful place.
Oh yeah. Now we got to talk about the surprise that she brought me. I did not know she was a poet. Now I noticed you dash your name on your books, but not on your email, right?
Right.
Okay, not on the email. I got to remember that one. All right. Of these three, which came first?
I guess Legacy of the Last
Okay,
World.
Legacy of the Last World. What was that all about?
It's about each. There are 3 sections, and each section starts with a poem about Adam and Eve, and Eve is a very independent character who can't wait to get out of Eden.
She can't wait to get out of Eden?
Right.
Well, with that snake around, I don't blame her.
Well, because it's too perfect.
Yeah.
And she can't get any sleep because everything, she hears everything, she feels everything much more strongly than anyone else because she's the first person.
Yeah.
And her senses haven't been tuned down yet.
How does Adam feel about that?
He falls for it.
He falls for it. Oh, I like that.
He falls.
What does Lepidoptera mean?
Lepidoptera is about, that's the name for a butterfly.
For a butterfly. It is a real butterfly.
Well, it's the classification.
The classification
Yeah.
of it. Everything from that to gift, among. I mean, are you the type of poet who it just comes?
The original idea might just come, but
Yeah.
then I have to spend time tweaking.
Like editing it and all?
Yeah. There are usually a lot of drafts. Some of the poems in that book are 15 years old.
15 years
Yeah.
old?
Yeah.
So you were writing, golly, early on. Were you in college? Had you gone back to college when you were writing these?
Some of them.
Yeah.
But I've been writing since I was in 3rd grade. I won my first poetry contest in 3rd grade.
You won a poetry contest in 3rd grade. I don't remember poetry contests. We had handwriting and spelling.
Yeah.
Those were easy. I got to slide right through on that one.
Yeah.
But I don't think if it had been a math contest,
Oh, forget that. I would have hidden behind
early
my
I
hair.
might have gotten it. Early, maybe up to the 4th, 5th, 6th
Yeah.
grade. But that was it. After
Yeah.
that, it was like
Oh,
a total tanker.
Yeah.
Bone Circle. Now, what is this one about?
This is about family.
Yeah.
About my original family,
Yeah.
the one I was born into, and I've been alienated from them for 26 years, and I decided to finally tell the truth.
Yeah. And this was about your alienated family. Bone Circle.
Yes.
Have you reunited with them at all?
One small piece
One small
has come
piece.
forward.
Yeah. Did they read your book? Did they know about it?
This young woman is coming to a reading. I'm reading at Worcester State
Yeah.
in April, and she's coming to that reading.
So you are getting out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Worcester State?
Yep.
Now you have 2 children, grown children.
Yep.
Yeah. have they seen, Mom? They must have seen your poetry.
Yes, neither. They saw that before it was printed because I was afraid that they would be very upset by some of the content.
I gotcha.
And I wanted to warn them that it wasn't about them.
No.
That it was about
your childhood.
Yeah.
Polio, hurricane, roadkill, the girl upstairs, migraine. Boy, I can relate to that one.
Yeah.
One bath, a high mirror. Oh, I can see exactly where you went with this.
Yeah, the first part is told in the voice of a child.
The voice of you when you were little.
Yeah.
Right?
And the middle one is probably adolescents getting to know what's going on, and the last section is about the deaths of parents and a brother and.
Your parents died
yeah,
when you were
very
young?
Well, they were. I've outlived both my parents.
They were what?
They were in their 60s.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awfully young by today's standards. Oh my God.
And my brother died when he was 35.
35.
Yeah.
And so were you the only left as the only child?
I have two younger sisters.
So you were were you kind of now the one helping to take care of them?
Not so they would admit.
Not that they'd admit. Yeah, you know how kids, yeah, I know it. So you ended up, was your brother the older one? Okay, then you were now in charge.
Yeah.
At such a young age, oh my Lord. There are people dying at 35, it's their 60s. That's a huge sense of loss, oh my Lord.
Yeah. Well, my parents died within 2 years of each other, so it was
Did one die of a broken heart after the other one?
No, they both died because they smoked cigarettes.
Lung cancer?
Lung cancer. Well, my father smoked a lot,
Yeah.
and my mother breathed a lot.
Yes. My father used to smoke a pipe all growing
Yeah.
up. But when he finally, the news got out that, what do they call it, smoke around other people can harm them, he was terrific. He did not smoke around us or anything like that. He just went off somewhere else. He was great, but he had a pipe, and that's pretty pungent.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Some of
My
it
father.
smells okay, but it can get in a car and you're a kid, you can get a little car sick with it. Now, okay, this last one we wanted to talk about is Echo and Spark, works from the 4x4 Poet and Artist Collaborative. What's that?
Right. There are four visual artists and 4 poets
Yep.
who work together off of each other's work.
In your writers group?
This is another writers group
Yeah.
that I'm part of. I'm part of 4 different ones.
Four?
So, and I have been for years. But this
4?
is a group that we recently had an exhibition and ran classes for Wachusett High School. And we've been at the Sprinkler Factory. We've been at WPI, at the Holden Library.
Yeah, great.
And we've given workshops at the Boylston Library and at the Princeton.
I love the
Library.
art. These are poets that write, their poetry, but then have a beautiful picture of artwork. It could be abstract, could be real.
Yeah, but the artists who created that work are part of the group too.
Ooh,
So-
look at that
yeah.
one. Of course, I love abstract, but that is really something.
Yeah.
The poetry that goes with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think any of the other poets we've had on have the artwork that it is done by the same poet, by the poet that's, they're an artist and a poet.
Well, no, these are artists who are in the group. There are 4 visual artists and 4 poets.
So they
and we
only
sit down
combine.
and we look at the visual art
Yeah.
and we talk about it, and we read the poems.
Yeah.
And sometimes the visual art comes in response to a poem.
Yeah.
Sometimes the poem comes in response to the visual
So you
art.
made them up, you matched them.
Yeah.
The artist with the poet.
Yeah.
I love this one.
Yeah,
Carrie
that's Carrie
Crane,
Crane.
Oak Leaves and Dawn.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And it went along with somebody's poem, somebody named Claire DeGutis.
Right.
DeGutis. What a cool idea to have somebody, okay, you've got the writer, the poet, and then you have the artist who, their artwork is matched with the poet in the book.
Yeah.
Is that hard to do? Because not everybody would go together.
It was amazing how simple it was,
Was
when
it?
when we finally decided to put everything together.
I love it.
Yeah. It was,
Susan, how can people go about getting your poetry books?
my poetry books are available on Amazon.
They're all on Amazon.
Yeah, except for 2 of the. Farm Wife is out of print now, and I believe this is on Amazon.
Echo and Spark?
Yeah.
I love this idea. What a cool idea to mix the art with the
Right,
poet.
Right. Well, we now, because the group is changing, we have lost two of the poets, and we've gotten a singer-songwriter
A singer-songwriter?
who is a performer.
So he could take, or she could take the poems and make a song?
She writes her own based on the art and on other people's poems. So we have another place.
And
to
she
look
joined
for.
your group
Yeah.
as a singer-songwriter.
Yes.
So you welcome all types of writers.
Well, with as long as we can hold them all in one room.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so
Which is-
do you have any mystery writers?
Not yet. Not yet.
What seems to be the most that you have?
Well, when the group started, we had 4 poets and 4 graphic artists, 2 of whom were photographers, and 2 of whom were graphic artists like Carrie Crane. This is
Yeah.
Carrie too.
I love it.
So, but that group has changed a little bit. We, at the moment, have only 2 poets, a songwriter, 2 photographers, and a sculptor.
Yeah? So you have a sculptor in your writers
at the
group?
moment, yeah, and
A sculptor who writes?
no, a sculptor who sculpts, and we write about her work.
Now that's
Yeah.
see, I had no idea. Anybody can come, an artist, sculptor, whatever, and the writers will write about their work.
Yeah, well, we have a long-standing group. We've been together for about 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Right there
So-
in Boylston, right?
This one is in Holden, actually.
In Holden,
Yeah,
okay, the
yeah,
Holden one, all
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Which ones do you belong to? Holden, Boylston, what else?
I go to one in Walpole, New Hampshire.
Walpole, New Hampshire?
Uh-huh. And I go to 2 different ones in Worcester.
Yeah, there's a big authors group, a writers group in Worcester. I think I've had some of them on the shop, had a lot of them on, but I know in Rhode Island they have a humongous writers. They just had an expo down there that was really huge. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Susan. Again, how can they reach you online if they have questions about your group? Your email.
Yeah, Susan Roney O'Brien at gmail.com.
That's it, and it's
Easy.
the writers group. It meets over at the Boylston Library the 3rd Tuesday of the month, 6:30. Not that far to go, and everybody's welcome. All right.
And it's free.
It's free. Bring your whatever you're working on, or if you haven't even started, they'll help you out. Right? It's all kind and considerate.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about it,
Yeah.
is that people are kind to each other.
I can tell as the facilitator of the group, she has a very gentle way about her, so no worries. Just go and check it out. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
We'll
you.
see you
It's
next
a
time. I'll
pleasure.
be my guest.